Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the MMA on the Island podcast for episode number 13 here on the pod. My name is Joe Frescott, joined alongside Aiden Williams for today's episode. And we're back, folks. I know it's a little bit of a hiatus for us. School's officially underway for us as college students. So bear with us here. If little bumps in the road, kinks in the road, we miss a week or two here and there. It's going to happen. Life just got a lot busier for the both of us with school underway. So there is that. Here's my official apology, but I don't owe y'all nothing. So that's
why I ain't apologizing.
Done with that. But before we get into 293, which turned out to be on paper going into it, I wasn't like so upset that we couldn't film and preview the card because I'm like, not a crazy card. Everything should probably go as expected. No.
That's far from the truth.
No, that's it. The UFC and MMA in general just continues to be one of, if not the best sport in the world, because it's just absolute chaos at all times. You never know what to expect. And who would have thought that Deshaun Strickland would have came out with his bottle of Hennessy and his do-rag and sent him back to China. But I didn't see it coming. Aiden didn't see it coming. Nobody in the MMA world saw it coming. But we'll get into that. But before we do that, I want to talk about the big heavyweight fight and the co-main as well at women's strawweight. Two fights that had significant implications that we saw now 2 weeks ago in Paris, which was another great card. And I don't want to go too depth into every fight, although I wish we had the time to, but we do not. So let's go into the first one in Thug Rose Namajunas making her return against Manon Fiorot, somebody who looked really good in her unanimous decision win. But Thug Rose, you saw after the first round, her hand,
pinky finger,
absolutely destroyed. That finger was like going that way. It was nasty. So I mean, maybe that takes a little bit off of the win for Fiorot, but it was really a fantastic fight.
You could just tell
performance by Fiorot in terms of just capitalizing on the fact that Thug Rose was just hurt.
Absolutely. You could tell, though, like in that fight, just the strength difference between the two. Like, I think Rose went for a couple of takedowns. I don't know the number exactly, but Manon was stuffing every takedown. She was noticeably bigger, stronger, more muscular. Like, I can respect Rose for trying to make history going up to that weight class, but I think 15 is where she's at. And I know she's beat the current champ twice already, but there's still some fights in that division I think she can still take. Like, Tatiana's an up-and-comer. She's an up-and-comer. You got Mackenzie Dern. You still got a lot of good strawweights who have yet had the opportunity to fight for the belt. But at flyweight, with Blanchfield, Grasso, Shevchenko, Manon, there's a lot of bigger, stronger. I think, Rose's best chance to get the belt was probably against Alexa, maybe, but she just lost to Manon. So that's going to push her way further back. And she's not going to fight at top 3 flyweight again. I don't imagine so. If she decided to fight at flyweight, she'd probably fight a good bit lower in the rankings. So unfortunately, she didn't get the win. Respect the attempt, but I think she should go back down to strawweight.
I agree, and the size difference was especially in one of the clinch exchanges was really noticeable. Where Thug Rose had like a shot, and she went 0 for 6 on the day.
Was 0 for 6.
Yeah. And she had a shot. She had double underhooks, and Fiorot just with double overs, just immediately pushed her against the cage, and immediately got out of that position. And it was just a strength difference at the end of the day. 10 pounds is a lot when it comes to mixed martial arts. We've seen it with fighters trying to go up and down and having varied success because of the fact that there's just so much of a difference in terms of speed, strength, and just technique in general when you're looking up and down weight classes. So I agree with the fact that Thug Rose should probably stay at strawweight. And right now, she didn't get a ranking at flyweight after the victory. Usually you see fighters get rankings, if they're that noticeable after their debut in a new division, but she didn't. So maybe that's a sign that she's going to stay at strawweight. But we'll get into this later. But I think after this fight, it makes for a good question of whether who's next in terms of the flyweights after Grasso and Shevchenko throw down this weekend. We'll get into that later. But let's go into Cyril Gane versus Sergey Spivak in a fight that I think went as expected for most of us.
Well, the betting odds didn't think so. It was, I think, I'm looking at it right now. Gane was a minus 175. I think, sir. I don't know. I just went away from the page. He was like a plus 145. So it was close odds. But, dude, Gane looked but like he looked great. Not only was the striking good, and that was the largest like significant strike discrepancy in a heavyweight match. I think it was like 111 or 211. I'm pretty sure Spivak had like 11 total strikes or something. Like it was something ridiculous. But you know, he was stuffing takedowns early on. Like his wrestling looked vastly improved. And yeah, Don was so poised. He was playing with his food essentially. Like that first round, obviously it was a 10-9 round, but that Gon was still in total control. And then that second round, man, he just started teeing off. You could see Spivak's face getting noticeably battered. And, you know, Gon put it away. Finally, I think this was the first fight. It didn't look like a hammer fist to the back of the head. But no.
Although some people were calling that there was, because I think there's maybe
but
one
I think
shot.
You know, I think behind the ear is like, you know, like right here. I think that's technically legal.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think that's just the way. I don't think he's intentionally dirty. I can't even say he's a brawler because he's so crisp. But if that Gon was to have fight Jones, I'm not saying he would have won, but it would have went for a much more competitive fight. But, you know, I want to talk about this real quick. And Joe and I, we talked about Champ or Chump. We did that, I think, was it last podcast?
Yes, podcast.
Last
yes,
podcast.
Sir. We'll do it again this week.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, as great as Gon looked, in my opinion, I'm just going to talk about this real quick. I still don't think that warrants him a title shot. He was talking about, you know, Aspinall obviously called him out. I think that's the fight to make. The winner of that should fight Pavlovich.
Absolutely.
Pending the double retirement in November, the winner of that should fight Pavlovich hands down. And that would make the most sense. You know, Gon, he won the interim belt a couple years ago against Derek Lewis. He lost to Ngannou, and then he beat Ty and he fought Jones. I think that second title shot was warranted. You know, he dominated Ty. And some people thought he even won the Ngannou fight. I mean, it was like 40, I think it was 48-47 times 2, 49-46. So it was a relatively close fight. And yeah, he obviously fought Jones, lost. But, you know, I'm looking at Spivak's fights, right? He was ranked number 7 going to this fight. Look at his fight history. His most noticeable win is number 10, Derek Lewis, right now, who's 39 years old. You look a little behind that. Spivak fought, what's his name? Augusto Sakai? Or maybe, Augusto Sakai. I don't even think he's ranked. Greg Hardy, he's not even in the UFC. Aspinall made easy work of him. Right. So if Aspinall made easy work of him and Gon made easy, I know this is a different timeline, but that Gon does not deserve a title shot. And then he fought Aleksei Olenek, who's not even in the UFC anymore. Like he really didn't fight anybody too high name besides Derek Lewis. So that alone doesn't give him a title shot. But like I said, you book the two. Maybe in December, early first quarter next year between Aspinall and Gon, and then they fight in like the early second quarter against Pavlovich for the belt. That's it.
I love that layout, Aiden, that you just dropped, because I think that's exactly where the heavyweight division should go. And I mean, obviously, you took double retirement in November. That's not 100% like, you know,
it's not official,
but it's not official. Jones could continue to fight, and if that's the case, then I just say Jones versus Pavlovich, and then the Gon Aspinall winner versus the winner of that fight.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's two very simple timelines here, I think, for both. I love how we just assume that Jones gonna win.
Dude, I don't see it.
But it's I mean, yeah, I agree though. I mean, if he does end up losing, that would make for absolute chaos in heavyweight. I think it'd be similar to bantamweight, where you got a million guys calling their shot. Although I think Jon Jones would probably get a rematch because he's Jon Jones.
If he loses to dude, he's not. Yeah. If somehow Stipe wins, he'll call for a rematch. But I know like the odds on sport. I think Jon, his favorite, like his odds are progressively going up. So obviously, if you bet on Jon, you're gonna win less money. I think he's like minus 410 last time I checked night or something like that. So obviously, we're gonna obviously get into a whole thing about this in a few minutes, but with the Strickland fight. But I think the lowest he was like a plus 450 to Israel's minus 700. So that's a bigger difference. But the thing is, you know, Sean's 32. He's healthy, cardio for days. He's like in his prime right now. And Stipe is pushing 40, 41. And Sean was relatively active. He fought Cannonier in December of last year. And he's had 3 fights since, well, after he fought Cannonier in December. And then he fought Imavov, Abus, and Strickland. So he's had 4 fights in 9 or 10 months. Dude, when was the last time Stipe fought Ngannou in freaking January, February of 21? So he's pushing almost 30 months, maybe even more without a fight. So that if Stipe beats John, that's way more. That's gonna catch me more by surprise. Granted, he's the greatest heavyweight, but he's not the same Stipe of 4 or 5 years ago. You know, when he fought Daniel Cormier when they had that trilogy. Now he's I don't know. I don't think There's no path to victory in my opinion for Stipe.
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. And obviously when it comes to November time, we'll break that down much more in depth and more. But yeah, it would be, I do favor John Jones. But let's go into UFC 293, card that was full of surprises. One that didn't really surprise me too much. The first fight on the main card, Tyson Pedro getting a first round knockout against Anton Turkalagi, I think is how you say it, or Turkalay, something along those lines. But the fight did not last very long. 2 minutes and 12 seconds into it, Pedro found a home for his, I think it was it a right hand, if I'm not mistaken, on that knockout?
I might have been. I think.
Yeah, I think I found home for the right hand for the knockout, and an impressive performance at light heavyweight. And I'm excited about Tyson Pedro at light heavyweight because as we've mentioned on this pod, heavyweight's not a division with too much depth. So, I always like to see young talent like Pedro, somebody who's actually been in the organization since 2016, sub Khalil Roundtree in 2016. That's crazy.
He's obviously he's fighting once a year, dude. That's 7 years ago when he's only 10-4.
Yeah, he's pretty much he didn't fight from 2018 to 2022. He went without a fight
because no, he fought in 2020. Oh, that was canceled.
No, it was canceled. So he went all that time without a fight. So it's somebody who's kind of had their back and forth. Obviously in 2022, back-to-back knockouts, and then lost a decision earlier this year, but now back in the win column with a knockout. So Pedro, somebody who's been in the organization for a while, but I think this spotlight here probably his biggest in terms of in a main card spotlight, especially in the home country of Australia.
And this was big for him. Obviously, that first round knockout followed by that celebration was sick to watch. But his last fight was UFC. I can't remember the opponent's name off the top of my head. I'm being lazy. I'm not looking it up. But I remember he lost. I think it was a majority decision.
Modestas Bucasas.
Yeah, him. It was a pretty boring fight because we watched it. It was pretty boring. But he obviously lost to his home turf. That's not a feeling you want to go through. But he definitely rebounded off this fight, and I think for him, he's not worthy of a ranked opponent. His fellow, I don't know if they're teammates or not, Carlos Ulberg, he's a different one. He deserves a ranked opponent in my opinion. But as far as Pedro, I like somebody like Kennedy Kennedy N. We'll leave it at that. He just had a shot at a ranked opponent in Dutch Jacoby. He obviously got clipped and lost. They're both unranked guys right now. Let them both fight, and maybe the winner of that will get another shot at a ranked opponent. But I like that fight. But if you want to go into Carlos Ulberg real quick, this dude, he actually lost to Kennedy, I think 4 or 5 fights ago. But this dude's on a 5-fight tear, and I think it's been like 5 finishes in a row too, man. Carlos Ulberg looks like he can be a problem if he continues on the path that he's currently on.
Absolutely. Those are both exciting guys in the light heavyweight division. Yeah, man. Make it 4 straight by knockout, or 4 straight by finish. And then he had 1 decision in his UFC debut back in February 2022. And I respect the activity.
He's only been in the organization since 22.
Since 22. So now he's 3 fights in 22, 2 fights in 23. I think that activity alone, and obviously success, warrants him definitely a ranked opponent early 2024 without a doubt, unless he wants to make a quick turnaround, which again I'd respect it. Yeah. He does have time. Maybe throw him into the December card, whatever that is, because
there's only 2 pay-per-view or 3 pay-per-views to the end of the year. That sucks. There's going to be a shitload of fight nights because you got 94 is not till the end of October, and then kind of a quick turnaround with 95, and I think 96 is December 16th, and then that's it. Yeah, fortunately, so
that's the year. It's been a crazy year of UFC.
We've been spoiled this fight.
I think characteristically though, I feel like towards the end of the year they slow down a little bit. Especially because so many other sports are going on. Obviously it's the beginning of football season this week. And basketball, NHL right around the corner. MLB playoffs coming up soon. So it's a time where sports are so overcrowded. So they don't really, I feel like the UFC kind of takes a step back when it comes to that time. But then like when it's summertime, obviously you saw the summer promotions and some of those fight cards, they were stacked to, head to toe. So and that's when sports are not really on, so that's it. I think UFC has a good model there, but obviously for us fight fans, it's it's a time where it starts to get a little slow. I know there's a break, I think, after next week. I think after next week or 2 weeks from now, they even have a week off.
No,
I think end of
it's
September.
the 23rd
End of
card.
September.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so, yeah, the
End of
30th.
September.
No,
Yeah. So they have a little bit of a break there as well. So I think that makes sense for the UFC. But moving on, let's go into Justin Tafa. We just saw the other Tafa brother with a big knockout of Parker Porter. And then the older brother comes in and knocks out Austin Lane in the first round. Again, another fight that did not last very long. Hope he hit the under on Fight Time for that one because it was quick. But I mean, kind of as expected. I know Tafa came in as a big favorite. Austin Lane hadn't had. Is this his UFC debut?
well,
This was the rematch. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. I forgot about that. I forgot that it was a no contest.
Yep.
But Tafa obviously proved that he was the better man on Saturday night, quickly and decisively.
Absolutely.
And so we'll move on there. Tafa, obviously a guy who's had some success in the UFC, but like similar to what we talked about previously with Pedro, not ready for top 15 competition just yet, but knocking on the doorstep for sure. Maybe 1 or 2 more wins for him and he'll be there. But a guy who I think is very much deserving of a fight pretty high in the top 15, a guy in Manel Cape, who obviously he was supposed to fight Kai Car France. Car France backed out. So he fought a newcomer, Indo Santos, a guy who looked really in his debut.
He looked very good.
Really, really good. Felipe Dos Santos, man. I mean, give credit where credit is due. But also give credit to Manel Cape for taking that fight and still wanting to fight. Obviously he could have waited for that, but he took a chance against a guy who's unranked.
And undefeated too.
And undefeated at the time, yeah. And he looked great. I mean, Dos Santos had his moments for sure, but Cape was landing the sharper strikes, and you could tell that when Manel Cape was landing, he was doing damage and it was hurting Dos Santos. But then when Dos Santos was landing, Cape was eating him really well. So I think after that fight, I think you just actually run back the fight with Kai Car France. I think it's the only natural thing that makes sense.
Yeah,
especially after the post-fight interview where a couple of F-bombs were dropped by Cape, and then forgot that was it Piedro's as well?
No, it wasn't Pedro. It was
I forget who the other guy was, but they were some F-bombs were flying at
pretty funny. DC had to snatch that microwave real quick.
Oh my goodness. That was so funny watching that live. He was like, all right, you're done. He just like took it away. That was hysterical. But yeah, Manel Cape, an impressive performance. And Dos Santos, I think, should be rewarded for that. He should fight somebody who's not like, an absolute nobody. He should fight somebody who's not ranked, obviously, but somebody who has some experience, because I think Dos Santos proved that he's
maybe like a Tyson Nam type of person.
Yeah, somebody who has some fight experience, for sure, and has some success in the UFC, because he looked really fantastic.
That's that's a very similar. I mean, obviously, that's a very similar situation to when not exactly, but when Diego Lopez fought Moskar Evlov, both number 10 ranked in their division, and Lopez put up a very good fight. So did Dos Santos. Obviously, Evlov was like 16-0 at the time, and Manel was like 18-6 or now 19-6. So little different as far as the hype, I guess. But when you look at the rankings and the guy making their debut in the organization, and they both put up good fights, I think that was actually fight of the night. So yeah, I agree. Give him some guy who's not in the top 15, but like you said, a seasoned veteran, if you will. And we'll see how he goes, man. He looked good, and he's raw. He's raw in the organization. It's a different ball game, man, when you're fighting in the regional promotions and whatnot. The UFC is the biggest, obviously, I don't even have to say it, but it's the biggest promotion in the world. So you're fighting the best, man. And when you go out there and you put on a close fight with the man who's ranked number 10 in their division, you should get not rewarded, but like you should get the respect you deserve.
Absolutely. And especially because, in the UFC, when you're fighting, it's not something where your contract's guaranteed and you're once you've made it to the UFC, like you've made it, and it's not like the NFL or NBA where like once you make it to these organizations, all right, I'm in the NBA, you're set for life pretty much. I mean, even if you're bottom of the barrel type of guy, you're making,
couple 600
600 minimum, but most guys making $1 million plus, and that's enough to set yourself up for life. Yep. When you got UFC guys fighting for 15 and 15, Not the same at all. I know he got a little bit more because of the pay-per-view points. Obviously deservingly so. Fight of the night as well. So he definitely Dos Santos probably made one of the biggest paydays out of any debuting fighter.
Is Black Belt MMA a valid source? Because is it them? They always come up with like the
Yes.
estimate. Are they valid? Because they said he made 66.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that as well. I always take it with a grain of salt. I say because they say estimated as well. So I think there is some sort of truth and rhyme and reason to it. But
if he's making 66 after tax deductions and what he's given to his management, it's probably bringing home fucking what 25, 30.
Yeah.
Like I'm obviously not a an accountant or whatnot, so I don't deal with money. But
yeah, I think maybe around 30, 35 after all of that. But I mean, it's still a lot more than, guys on the debut. They make their debut, they lose. They're coming out with like what, $5,000?
Yeah,
for all of the stuff you have to take out expenses. So it's a tough sport, man. And obviously Dana doesn't help. Dana's almost a billionaire. My dad told me the other day.
Almost, I think he is a billionaire.
Is he a billionaire? Oh, my dad told me that he was like on the doorstep of being a billionaire, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. Yes.
Oh, my bad. It says currently, I guess not. He's struggling. He's only worth 500 million.
Yeah. I think it may say that, but I forget my dad's
source. I can fucking.
I forget my dad's source on it. It might have been Rogan because he's one of those guys. But it might have been Rogan saying that Dana was knocking on the very close to a billionaire and still can't pay his fighters. But that's fine. Moving on, we got more Dana White rants coming. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
Tai Tuivasa versus Alexander Volkov, a fight that I really thought was going to be a nice bounce back spot for Tuivasa. But shout out Alexander Volkov. He looked really good. I think I might have been overrating Tuivasa a little bit on my end.
I think we have to talk about that. Not you in particular.
Yeah, but just in general. Yeah. I think that, because of his big win against Derek Lewis and, that winning streak that he went on before, that got derailed by Cyril Gane. I think that, there's still a lot of hype around him. Obviously, he's very fun to watch, but Volkov came in and proved that he was the better man. The on-the-feet exchanges were clearly one-sided, although Tuivasa did have his leg pretty compromised. So I'll give him that. The leg was
he literally, if you watched, like, obviously, I didn't watch the entire fight, but you look at the clips from the beginning of the first round, the end of the first round, he was about to get TKO'd. Thank God the bell rang because he was like spitting blood and all that jazz. But you want to talk about his win streak real quick, and I'm looking at Tuivasa's stats, right? So he's obviously currently sitting at a 15-6 record. For those of you who haven't checked the rankings yet, he dropped down to the number 8. Volkov moved up to 6, and Spivak is still currently at the 7.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You look at Tuivasa. He's obviously lost 3 straight, and we're gonna go again. I briefly broke down how Spivak's win streak was. I'm gonna do it for Tuivasa real quick. He's lost to Volkov, who's now is the number 6 ranked heavyweight. Pavlovich is the number 2. Gane is the number 1. Lewis, and this was now I'm going backwards when he won 5 in a row. Lewis was number 10. Well, is number 10. Augusto Sakai. I don't even know. He's not even ranked. Greg Hardy. Harry Hunsucker. And Steven Struve.
Harry Hunsucker? That's an actual human being? That's
and Steven Struve, or the guy who's a giant. That's where his win streak was. And then he lost another 3 prior to that against Sergey Spivak, who's 7, Junior Dos Santos, and Blaggy Ivanov, who I know he was just previously ranked like 15, 14. So minus Derek Lewis, right? That win streak isn't really notable. And I hate to be, a hater. We call me what you want, but it's just the facts. And somebody made a comparison that Tuivasa is like the modern day Mark Hunt. And I honestly, the more you watch the fight, the more you have to agree with it. Because these guys lost 6 in his last 11 when you look at it. And I think before that he had 3 wins in the UFC. So he's 8 and 6 in the UFC. And Mark Hunt finished with a record of 14-12, 14-13. But Tuivasa, the problem with him, right, is he's ready to stand and bang, like he's with it, and which is great, but he's not technical. He has heavy hands and all that, but he's kind of like Derek Lewis, but I think Derek Lewis was a little better at that in his prime. Obviously, he fought for the interim belt, he's fought for the actual belt. He was, there's a little bit different. I think it was a little different between the two. And Lewis has the most knockouts in organization history. So that obviously puts him on somewhat of a pedestal. But, I don't know, man. Tuivasa needs to make some heavy changes to his game, or I don't know, man. I'm not saying he'll be out of the organization because that's that's an insane statement. You know, he's an exciting fighter. Everybody likes to watch him fight, but you know, when he was going on the 5-fight tear, people were like, yo, he might fight for the belt. He was even talking about, you know, wanting to fight Jones at one point, and he's far from that at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But you know, I'd like to see him fight somebody like Jazirno Rosenstruik. Yeah, obviously, I know I butchered that name, but he just fought Jailton Almeida and he was made easy work of in the first round. He got submitted. And, you know, I think Rosenstruck is like the 10th. He's the 8th. You know, that'd be a fun. They're both. I think Rosenstruck is like
He's
a boxer
12 now, yeah.
He's 12th now?
Yeah.
All right. Even still, Tuivasa should not be fighting up or anybody ranked 7, 9, or anything like that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I even had him going even lower in a guy. I mean, again, if he's still choose to fight because he's dumb old. And Marcus Rodrigo de Lima, just somebody who is a lot lower in competition, just because
but the Lima
Tuivasa
fight that head.
But
no,
I mean, not really, but I feel like you're gifting Tuivasa, you know, kind of a nice rank to win in that case.
He is I guess,
but it's like
he has no jiu-jitsu or anything like that.
I guess that's true.
And Lima is heavy on the. Obviously, you know, you can't take away you can't use his last performance as a
benchmark.
Exactly.
5 seconds. Yeah, no,
right.
I agree, but I mean. I just think Tuivasa. I like the Rosenstruck fight as well. In terms of just a significant down in competition, because I mean, see, he fought the 1 and 2 in top 10 in Cirogan and Pavlovich, and then he goes and fights a guy in Alexander Volkov who's continuing to evolve. And obviously, we saw that submission, the Ezekiel choke. I mean, that was slick. You know, that he was able to lock that in. I mean, obviously he could have just ground and pounded and found the finish that way, but he had something to prove. He wanted to prove that he's been improving and working on his jiu-jitsu. And, you know, I believe him. And that's why I think, you know, for a guy like Volkov now looking on the other side of the table, you know, obviously an extremely impressive victory. And one that I feel like a lot of people should have saw coming. You know, I think we were blinded by the hype of Tuivasa, not looking at the actual skill, or at least that was, you know, in my instance. But I like Volkov to verse the Blades and Almeida winner. I think that's a natural next step for either of those guys. And I think that would make for a great fight. I mean, obviously that would really be testing Volkov if he fights. I mean, I think both. I mean, Almeida's obviously a beast, and I think Almeida would be the much bigger challenge. But even with Blades would be a test for the grappling and just the progression of Volkov to see really where is he at. Because, you know, now I want to see him really tested. You know, Tuivasa, he passed that with flying colors, but we've seen Volkov's career. It's been very much, you know, up and down. He's had some good wins and had some really bad losses. So I'd like to see him really tested, you know, and just completely fighting aside. He has to have the worst tattoo in the UFC. That back, no, Volkov. Oh. That back tattoo. That has to be.
Was it like a demon? Look at that demon.
I don't even know what it is. It's disgusting. It is the most disgusting. I hate watching it. I hate watching, you know, like seeing that it's repulsive because because especially, but I mean, if he had a whole body tats, you know what I mean? Then it's like, okay, it blends in. But it's just a big back tattoo and then nothing else. And then the front of his body is just clean. It's probably the grossest tattoo that I've in the UFC. But that's just fighting aside. I had to throw that out there because I've had that bottled up for some. I don't feel like I've ever said that to anybody, and I had to throw it out there. So I'm like, that is just disgusting. It's gross. I hate looking at it. But let's move on to the title fight that has the entire MMA world spinning and questioning reality, and that is Israel Adesanya getting absolutely dominated by Sean Strickland. Never thought those words would have came out of my mouth in that order.
He actually moved up to number 8 pound for pound.
He's the number 8 pound. That's crazy.
Awesome.
That's crazy. Good for him.
Good. Absolutely good for him.
Good for him. That's crazy. Wow. We live in a world where Sean Strickland.
We just need one more.
It's the number 8th ranked pound for pound fighter just because he had to be a notch above Izzy and they didn't want to put Izzy not in the top 10. That's really cute.
Yeah, Izzy's their poster boy. Yeah, and obviously he's a new cover UFC 5.
It didn't even last. He was announced. It didn't even last a week.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Absolutely insanity. But I mean, what a fight by Strickland. What a performance. And for those who are saying it's fluky and that Izzy will come in again and make quick work of him,
it's not I don't agree. It's not like Strickland like just clipped him and like knocked him out within like kind of like a Derek Lewis de Lima type situation. he knocked him out. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He knocked. First of all, he was obviously you guys probably know this, but he was the first guy to ever knock Israel down in his UFC career.
Yeah.
And after that fight, after that round, a lot of people were like, all right, Izzy had a slow start. He'll make a comeback or whatnot. The second round, Izzy, I guess won with the leg kicks and all that. All the three judges gave it to him. But 3 through 5, Strickland was with the constant pressure. He landed good combinations. And then you noticed Strickland didn't have a scratch on him at the end of his nose might have been a tad pink. Then that might be generous. But Israel looked like he did not want to be there. He wasn't doing crap. He used his same style that he uses for everybody. And I think somebody mentioned this. I don't know the exact source, but he was using his similar game plan, like against Pereira on Strickland. And you can't do that, dude. They're completely different fighters. And Strickland, man. And everybody, was like, oh, Strickland's going to get dominated because he wasn't making eye-to-eye contact with the press conference. Dude, he does that at every single fight. He literally said before, he's like, he doesn't like making eye contact with the fighters because then he just want to kill them. Like, honestly, like he's nuts. But I think
he is a psycho.
If you actually listen to him speak when he's not like out, when he's not talking crazy, he's actually like, not a dumb guy. Like he actually makes sense of when he talks. Like what he says makes sense. And I think more people are appreciative of that when he's actually like down to earth and genuine. You saw clips of his girlfriend. He was being wholesome with him and his girl. He's being wholesome and all that. People don't like Strickland because he says what's on his mind. He's not going to read like the script that he's supposed to read or be this athlete that he's supposed to. I don't know. He's supposed to say what I guess not Dana wants him to say, but he's not. He's an unorthodox type of personality.
He just doesn't have a filter.
He has no filter. Yeah, right, exactly.
I think he's very unfiltered in what he says, and that makes him a controversial figure. Obviously he said some pretty outlandish things,
especially with the press conference against the Boost. Oh my god, he was. Yeah,
I feel like he's always talking crazy, but I actually saw like a clip today. It came up because again everything now. If you're for somebody like me and Aiden who love MMA and a lot of what we see on socials is MMA stuff. All I've been seeing is Sean Strickland, and I saw one where it was just in best interview clips, and it was just absolutely outlandish the things that he was saying. Especially when I forget what the reporter's name, but she interviews him a lot.
Oh, Nina Marie.
No, not Nina Marie. Although she can catch it. But but no, the Asian. Hella Lee.
She's married to the Schmo.
Yes, she's married to Schmo. That's what I was looking. I was thinking, what is Schmo's wife name? But when she interviews him, yes, yeah. It's like, how do I say work harder?
I know. No. But listen though, you know what? He talks reckless, but we live in a world where he is the UFC champ, and he dominated one of the best, the second best middleweight of all time, but one of the best strikers in
second. I don't want to hear any debate. Second, and it's not close. It's not close.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I know this fight, kind of put him on a little bit of a setback, but if Silva didn't fight as much as he did at the end, and he was just constantly tarnishing his legacy,
he went like a 7-fight losing. I don't even
take the competition was different back then.
I don't take into the consideration, man. Prime for prime.
I still think Israel would have made it work with it, but we're not. That's I
don't know about that.
That's besides the point. That's my opinion, though. All right. But now Strickland can say what he wants now, and Dana obviously wasn't happy when Strickland won. Like he did not look pleased to put the belt on him, and that fight was too much a domination to where it could have been a bullshit, skeptical 48-47 split, or kind of like the Cheeto Sandhagen-esque type of scorecard, which was insane. But there was no way around that. Strickland won the fight, unless Izzy would have knocked him out. Which, but based on the pressure Israel was not putting, he wasn't knocking nobody out. Please, he was knocking the fans out to sleep with that lackluster performance. It was sad to watch, guys. But
spitting.
Yeah, no, I was spitting just real quick. But I'm telling you, man, and like people are like, "Oh, this is a fluke." People are making Michael Bisping comparisons and whatnot. I'm telling you, I'm not gonna sit here and say, Sean Strickland's gonna end up having 6 title defenses and be the greatest middleweight. All right, then I would just be getting a little over my head, and I'll come to terms with that.
Yeah.
However, if Dricus actually, and Dana's a piece of crap sometimes because he's like, Dricus didn't accept the fight. Granted, Strickland fought in June, and I think June 17th or June, I don't know, and then Dricus fought a month later, and then he obviously knocked or TKO'd Robert Whittaker. Apparently he had foot problems. I don't know if he broke his foot or whatnot. He didn't accept the fight. And that's why Dana's kind of hesitant to giving Dricus a title shot because he's like, I gave you one, but you declined it. But as far as future matchmaking. I think Dricus and Strickland is a very interesting matchup. A lot of people want to see that. And quite frankly, Adesanya is not deserving. If he wins a good fight, like if he beats Chimaev or Costa again, then yeah, I'll give him the title shot. But immediately, I don't care what you say, he's not deserving of a title shot. He had that immediate rematch against Pereira. There was history behind that. And then he lost to a guy he wasn't supposed to lose to. And like I said earlier, he didn't get knocked out. He got outclassed 4-1. Dude, like let him fight somebody else. Let the division have movement. Adesanya's had what? Fucking 10, 11 title fights in a row if you add Gastelum interim fight. And then he had the Blachowicz attempt. And then he had like 7 or 8 middleweight to fight. Or I think he had 5 defenses or something like that. Fought Pereira after he lost. He lost to Strickland. Give him a break. I think he's going to take some time off, obviously. He'll probably fight. He'll probably make a comeback in the first quarter of next year. He's been very active. He's one of those champions who doesn't like to sit and wait. And that's one thing Dana gave him props for. And I'll give Izzy props for that too. Is he very corny and a little cringe to watch? Yes, there's no debating that. But while he was champion, he was game to fight basically anybody. And he was starting to make laps of that. He fought Vittori twice, obviously. He fought Cannonier. He fought Whitaker twice. He fought Cannonier, fought Costa. Like, these are guys who were in the top 6 of the division. The only guys he didn't fight was Dricus, and he declined that, and Strickland. And out of all people, nobody thought Strickland was going to win, and he won. So there's no reason Izzy should get that title fight unless, they're just trying to boot Strickland out of his temporary throne as quickly as possible. But yeah, I'm done with that. I'm done with that rant. But he shouldn't get the title fight again.
No, absolutely not. And I'll get into it as well, because Dana was like, I think the only logical thing to do here is give Israel an immediate title shot. And that makes absolutely no sense. This was Israel's 11th straight title fight.
It was 11? Okay.
It was 11. It was 11 straight. I double checked as you were talking. No, you got it. But 11 straight title fights. And like you said, he got that instant rematch against Pereira, which was, I think, deserving. Obviously, he was on a tear at that point, outside of that one hiccup against Blachowicz where he tried to go up in weight, and make history. That didn't happen, but you can't really knock that from his middleweight reign. But his middleweight reign was dominant, so he lost to a guy in 5th round that some could call an early stoppage. I honestly think that you'd probably give the champ more time, in that Pereira fight. But nonetheless, Pereira had him really hurt, so that's
starting to look down at the
yeah. So it was, so he was kind of, so it was, again,
50-50.
Yeah, I think that, that fight would have been over anyway, but you'd like to give the champ more time. But nonetheless, I think he deserved that rematch, and so they gave him the rematch. He made good on his rematch, got the victory. But now against Strickland in a fight where just pure domination, it was one-sided. Outside of the second round where Strickland was kind of hesitant, and I think it was more, if Strickland just threw more, I think we're looking at 50-45 in the second round, because Strickland was still dominating. It was dictating the pace of the fight, was still controlling the center of the octagon, still had Izzy backed against the fence, cage, whatever you want to call it, octagon. The entire second round was just, he didn't really throw that much. It was just a lack of activity. But great coaching in the corner to get Strickland to obviously make some adjustments and to be active for those next 3 rounds. But nonetheless, I think very simply, I don't think Izzy deserves a rematch. I don't think anyone outside of Dana believes that. And I think it's ridiculous to think that that's even a consideration after a dominant loss like that. And I 100% agree with where Aiden was going in terms of give DDP the title shot. DDP not taking a title shot just because he's injured shouldn't.
And it was not
shouldn't go against him
after 290. That's not a whole lot of time. That's that's a week after 2 months, and he declined it. And obviously, Adesanya wanted to fight his Australia card. But when you look at the timeline, 9 weeks isn't a whole lot of time. That's not even a length. That's not even a length of an actual camp. And nonetheless, if the guy hurt his foot, he just fought at the time the number 2 ranked middleweight and made work of him. So like, give the guy a little bit.
And another fight where not many people saw that coming. I mean, I
think the odds were a lot closer.
They were close. They were close, but I feel like the average MMA fan was, Whitaker just looked unbeatable. You know what I mean?
Obviously,
where outside of Izzy, like, it was like he was kind of was the Max Holloway of the middleweight division, where he's just the guy at the top who just can't beat the champion. But outside of that, it's just beating everybody else. So that's really where he was at. And DDP, obviously made him look like pedestrian. So I mean, I think that's why DDP should get a title shot next. I don't think that you should take that away from him. I feel like Dana
They could fight
feels
296.
like, yeah, I would love that. And I think Dana feels that everyone should do what Aljo did, a few weeks back when he just took the fight he just fought a couple months ago. I think what was the turnaround for Aljo?
So we fought May 6th, and then 292 was August 19th.
Yeah,
but
so
that's a lot longer. That's
yeah,
3 months and 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that's 11 weeks.
Exactly.
But Dana made him accept the fight. No shit, like a week or two after he just beat Henry. So
yeah.
11 weeks.
Same thing.
Huh?
I mean, so it's very similar in the way that he expects
weeks.
everyone to do that. And I mean, that's why I give credit to Aljamain for taking the fight, dangerous fight, obviously, against Sean O'Malley that didn't go his way, on short notice. But you can't discredit DDP for what he did. So I think make that the next title fight. Give Izzy the winner of Costa Hamzat, which I think Hamzat would make for a really tough matchup. And I think
against Strickland, yeah,
no, even against Izzy.
Even against Izzy,
yeah, I mean, yeah,
I know.
If he's able
to modify his
game. Able to ragdoll Costa like he has other people, I mean, who's to say he's not going to do that even easier against Izzy?
But the thing is, right, is obviously a few years back, Izzy made easy work of Costa, but this was 2 fights ago, but Khamzat, and that could be that you could say that's his worst performance. Obviously, he won that fight. There's no dispute. People who wanted to say Gilbert won that fight just because they just wanted to see the underdog win. But
yeah,
I watched the fight like 2 or 3 times. It was a clear 29-28 for Khamzat. But
yeah, absolutely.
You look at the strength discrepancy. Gilbert, and he doesn't have a whole lot of like power in his punches. Like he's not pillow hands. He almost dropped Usman in the fight they had, and you don't drop Usman. He's been dropped once, and that was when he got dropped by Leon Edwards. And he get dropped, he got put to sleep. It's a big difference. But look, Paulo Chimaev is a unit. He's strong, he's big, but I don't know, man. I think Costa's gonna have a little bit harder of a time working with him like on the feet. But I think if he could take him down, man, it's gonna be tough. But I wouldn't be surprised if Costa wins that fight. I think if it goes to a decision, Chimaev's going to get that fight. He's obviously, Abu Dhabi's not where he's from per se, but he's going to have fans rooting for him in that area, and obviously they want Chimaev to beat Champ at some point, and who wouldn't want to see Adesanya versus Chimaev? Dana probably wants that to be a title fight. He gets his rematch against Strickland. He beats Strickland, although I'm not guaranteeing that's going to happen. But he beats Strickland, and
this is Dana's ideal fantasy world.
This is Dana's ideal fantasy.
But I mean, obviously the title, having a title for a fight adds so much more implications to it. But I mean, even Izzy versus Chimaev for a #1 contender fight, I think you could sell pay-per-views as that being the main event. I mean, maybe that's. So. I mean, maybe that. Maybe I mean, there's not a lot of talk about UFC 300. Maybe that's the UFC 300. I wanted the fight to UFC 300 because that would be a big fight. But
I think that'd be a great co-main and I think Strickland's getting better at marketing himself. Obviously, he's got obviously he won the belt, but he's gotten like 300,000-400,000 extra followers on Instagram recently. So people obviously know who he is more. Mm-hmm. But you could make that a co-main. That would be a great co-main to Du Plessis and Strickland. Like I said, the only thing is I don't think they have enough popularity. But as far as shaping the picture of the 85 division, I think that's perfect. Because then right after, let's say, Izzy beats Chimaev, right? He can watch, hypothetically, this is all hypothetical. He beats Chimaev, and then he can watch, let's say, Strickland. I think I'm favoring him to beat Du Plessis personally. But let's say he beats Du Plessis, and then he can go call him out, get in the cage, and do what he does. Hopefully, he doesn't call him, the N-word 86,000 times. But if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. But I think that's a perfect scenario. They just got to get better at marketing themselves between Du Plessis and Strickland. But that away. I think
Strickland's doing a great job.
No, he's getting better.
I think he even did a collab with a page on Instagram, Full Violence, which is extremely popular. Full Violence. They have like over 500, 600K followers. And he did like a collab, like all the merch he was wearing, that was with them.
Oh, really?
So yeah. So and he did a huge, a merch launch with ended up freaking, what am I trying to say? Ended up working out great, and for them, they did that even before he was the champ. So now that he's the champ, I'm sure that their sales probably through the roof. So good on them to take a risk and take a bet on Sean Strickland there, really paying off. But yeah, I think Du Plessis. I think he just needs to do better.
So much. You know what's bullcrap? I'm looking at the UFC right now. Look at the. If you guys are have a second, go look at the UFC athlete rankings. The only champion who doesn't have a picture of him with the belt on his shoulder is Sean Strickland. Look at that.
Yep.
You notice that everybody else has the belt on their shoulder.
Even O'Malley, and I'm pretty sure O'Malley's when it was switched, because I remember filming the pod and looking at this. I think he had his with the belt pretty immediately.
That's insane,
even though the picture was recent.
Because Dana thinks Strickland's gonna repel viewers and all that, but I don't think so, man. I really don't think so. He's becoming more likable for a lot of people. As you have to listen to him speak. Like, actually, I know you listen to him speak in his crazy interviews, but when you actually listen to him being wholesome and all that, he's not completely out of his mind. He's a competent human being, and he's obviously a great fighter. And he said something about that real quick, and we're gonna go into the other segment briefly. But he said something like along the lines of, I run my mouth so much at times that people forget how good of a fighter I actually am, and he's 100% right. A lot of people are like, oh, he's just this big mouth trash talker. He doesn't deserve the title fight. And I actually do think he deserves a title fight because, he had that controversial loss against Cannonier, which could have went either way. Obviously, it was a split decision. And then he beat Imavov, number 12. And then he beat the unranked Abus. And I know he was unranked, but nobody wanted to fight him at the time, and he fought him. But as far as rankings, Adesanya fought everybody. He had just fought Pereira. Duplessis declined. Strickland was the only name that made sense, So as far as the rankings work, it did make sense. And I know that could be hypocritical because there's other situations like welterweight where the next guy at the ranking should technically fight for the belt, take away Covington, who's already fought twice, and other divisions as well. But, Strickland, he was a fresh face. He's never fought Adesanya before. So I honestly don't think it was completely unwarranted. And look, right, people thought it was unwarranted, and he did what he did. So that's enough for Sean Strickland and Adesanya that I'm going to talk about. But I just got to congratulate the league champ real quick.
Shout out Deshaun Strickland.
That's facts.
The GOAT. Already the GOAT. He don't need to defend the title.
Take that ass. He could retire today.
But let's go into some of the UFC and MMA headlines now. We'll run through these quick because there's a good amount in these past couple of weeks. First of all, Laura Sanko made her pay-per-view debut this weekend on the mic. Outstanding work. I think she did better than
DC.
I agree. I think she's better DC and Bisping.
Bisping's not that bad.
I think DC's better than Bisping personally.
Really?
Yeah, I think Bisping, sometimes he says things and I'm just like,
he's a little biased.
Why?
Yeah.
Not even biased. It's just like he just said nonsense. I'm like, did you really have to say that? But Sanko, I think she did a great job of picking her spots in terms of commentary and really providing value. So shout out to her for doing an outstanding job.
Respond to her DM she sent me on Instagram.
Yeah, right. She was talking about her husband. I mean, listen, if she did send you a DM, you might be able to go viral here, have a case on your hands. Right. But shout out Laura Sanko, for an outstanding pay-per-view debut this past weekend. And then moving on, I will refuse to try even to say this name, but we're gonna give it a shot anyway. Kusin Askubov, UFC fighter, was arrested for kidnap, torture, and more.
What?
Yeah, he was scheduled to fight, I think, later this month, and obviously that is not going to happen. So that is one of the craziest things I've ever heard in terms of a UFC fighter. But nonetheless, hopefully he is in jail and stays in jail for a very long time, and is cut from the UFC. Moving on now, JDS defeats Fabricio Verdum via split decision in the bare knuckle Gamebred FC event that took place this past weekend, which is a free event. So shout out Gamebred. Yeah, shout out Jorge for doing the fans a favor and making a free event. Especially for something that's not as it's not Gamebred FC is not at this point competing with any of the top organizations. It's not touching PFL, UFC, one and all of that. So I respect them for taking a different approach and saying, maybe if it's free, we'll garnish, a decent amount of viewership and that way that'll help with the sponsors and stuff. So I respect Gamebred for that. And I didn't watch the fight personally. I heard it should not have been a split decision. I heard Dos Santos pretty much dominated. I saw the one knockdown from a right hand, but it was two really old heavyweights. Like the level of fighting is not really high, but they're just names at this point. But I mean, a good fight in terms of just name value and history for Gamebred to put on. So shout out to Jorge. I know there was some things with Gagey talking about. People were asking Masvidal if he was going to unify the BMF belt. He said he's worried about promoting fights right now, and I think Jorge's walking around probably at least 200 pounds, if not more.
He is.
He got a nice little belly going on. So
rightfully so, man. He had a good career in the UFC.
Oh, dude, he fought over 50 times in his career in general. So
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that man's been in enough wars. Now it's time for him to start matchmaking them.
Yeah, exactly.
So shout out Jorge. Love to see the retired MMA guys, still being businessmen and
they're involved with what they love. They might not be fighting, but they're starting their own organization.
Yeah, I respect that. I mean, I feel like a lot of guys are fight way too long. And speaking of fighting way too long, and this is a headline that I was not very happy to see. Rampage Jackson is making a return against Daryl the Boss Schoonover in December in the United Fight League. I worry every time I see headlines like that. I worry about guys like Quentin Rampage Jackson, who we haven't seen in over a decade. I think he retired from the UFC.
No, he hasn't been out that long. I think he just fought
UFC.
In the UFC.
UFC. Yeah. But I mean, like top level competition. Obviously, he's fought outside.
He fought Fedor Emelianenko like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
but that's still
again, yeah. And how did that fight go for him? Not great. So I mean, I don't love to see Rampage making his return. But I hope that he's okay financially, and mentally, and that he's just doing it maybe for just maybe to scratch that itch, if you will, and not in terms of a need, because you hate to see guys coming back when they need the paycheck. If guys are coming back just for shits and gigs, like a fight, the case when Tyson fought, I'm blanking on one of the greatest boxers of all time, when Tyson's most recent fight when he came back, who the heck did he
Deontay
fight?
Wilder?
No. Mike Tyson.
Oh, Mike Tyson.
Mike. Yeah. No, you're good.
Oh, Vander Holyfield.
Yeah. No, wait, was it Vander Holyfield?
The guy who bit his ear. This is what he's fought in the 50s. He's like when he's in his 50s.
Yeah. It was Holyfield. It was Holyfield. Okay. Yeah, fight guy Holyfield, where both guys didn't need the money, but they were just doing it for fun. That's something I'm fine with. But for this, I'm hoping Rampage is okay. So, but moving on. McGregor got his black belt. Merry Christmas. Now he's one win away. Now he just has to be a UFC Hall of Famer in order to make that infamous tweet. I think it was from 2013, where he was like, "I'm gonna have a black belt, 2 gold belts, and a Hall of Fame introduction, and some sort of money value," which clearly he has. So shout out McGregor for getting his black belt. Does he probably deserve it? Probably not. I don't know. Maybe I don't know how good his jiu-jitsu really is.
Yeah.
Especially because since he got it from like his longtime head coach, John Kavanaugh. So
yeah, it might be.
Who knows the legitimacy of the black belt?
Conflict of interest.
Yeah, just a little bit. But shout out McGregor. Let's start getting off the juice and let's see a fight soon.
I think he might fight in December. I'm trying to be optimistic.
I mean, listen, but like we said, and the clip that actually went did a pretty good in terms of views. The steroids in MMA, we were talking about that, it did pretty good. We were talking about the fairness of it. I think he could. I definitely agree where he could, but I wouldn't want to see it because
they're both training for something.
That's a good precedent. Yeah, obviously. I hope McGregor just gets back in USADA pool, does the 6 months, and then fights whenever.
Is he even in now?
I don't know. No, that would be news if he came. If he was back.
So
no.
If we're being ethical, he's not fighting until at least March of next year.
Yeah.
There's no way he's gonna go that long.
I mean, I guess. I mean, he's gone this long so far. So I don't know. We'll see. I
just think the hype around that fight would start to die down, and I think it already kind of is.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think the hype for the fight was supposed to be with the Tough, and then it would have been in December. It would have been perfect if Conor just could have to put the needle down a couple months ago. It would have been great, but he got too much money to really not do whatever the heck he wants. He's at the point of his career where he just does whatever he wants, which I guess I can respect.
If he can become triple champ.
Oh gosh, one can dream.
I know,
one can dream. Next, and something I thought was very interesting. Obviously, former WWE superstar Kurt Angle revealed that back in the day, he had multiple UFC offers. He was offered $500,000, and this was, when $500,000 was a lot more money than it is now. To compete in Tough against Kimbo Slice, that would have been absolutely insane. Obviously, Angle has, a big wrestling pedigree and credentials, so he probably would have been a pretty competent UFC fighter, if he was able to develop the striking, because who knows what that was looking like right, I guess even what it looks like, what it would have looked like, I guess you could
Yeah,
say.
absolutely.
But obviously a crazy offer that he turned down. And just further proof that if the UFC wanted to pay guys, they would. And then lastly, this was rumors a few weeks ago, but I had this down from the last from a pod that we were supposed to do that ended up not happening. Ronda Rousey was thinking about it, or maybe just rumors of returning UFC 300. Should she? No, unless I mean, I guess maybe the Holly Holm fight again, but like I mean, I still feel that Holm would be favored because Rousey at this point is so far removed, and women's MMA is so much better than it was when during her title reign. You can't be a one-trick pony and be a dominant champion. And that's essentially what Ronda Rousey was if you go back and watch the fights. But that concludes the headlines. Obviously, some interesting stuff going on in the world of MMA as always. But with some of those things, take it with a grain of salt. But lastly, let's go far from unanimous. Let's go 2 questions here. Very simply, and I want to start because we've been talking a lot about Sean Strickland, so I'll wait for the second question to get more into him. So for the first question of far from unanimous, who is more deserving of the title shot? We're going back to UFC Paris now. Aaron Blanchfield or Manon Fior? Aiden, I leave it up to you because I don't think they're going to fight each other. I think UFC is going to give it to one or the other after this
I don't know. I think
weekend.
they might fight each other
Yeah,
because they don't like. But it would make more sense if they fought each other for a title fight, But Fiore, she sits on the side. She fights like once a year now. She fought last year against Caitlin Chokogan in at 284, and I presume she's not going to fight again for this year. And I don't know when the last time she fought was. I can't go that far back. But honestly, personally, I think Blanchfield's more deserving of it. I'm gonna pull up Blanchfield's stats real quick. I know was it a split decision or UD against Talia Santos? I think it was UD.
It was a UD. Yeah, it was a
right?
unanimous decision. Yeah, and she's coming. She's on a 6-fight win streak now that has seen three finishes out of the 6 fights. And obviously, with the one being Talia Santos being the biggest name and ranking victories.
The problem I think with Blanchfield, right, is again, I hate to go based off of names. Actually, I don't. I like to speak facts. Talia Santos, she was very close to getting the belt last year when she fought Shevchenko. Andrade, when she beat Andrade at the time, that was more impressive because that win against Andrade was the first loss in her current losing skid right now. If she was to have beaten Andrade now, like if Mackenzie Dern beats Andrade, that's not as notable as when Blanchfield beat her, because when Blanchfield beat her, that was her first loss. Obviously, I'm not gonna repeat myself. Then before that, she fought Meatball Molly. I mean, come on, she had hype around her and all that, but she's not great for her division. Let's put it like that. She's even made talks about going down. And then I can't really, and Jay Aldrich, I might be ignorant to the female division, and then her only loss is against Tracy Cortez, but that was before the UFC. So yeah, based on those 2 wins, I don't know if it's gonna give her a title shot. I was about to say McMahon, but then I actually went into depth. I think they're gonna end up just fighting each other because it's so like 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the comparison, because I'm going back and forth on their fight history now, and it's kind of scary, like how so they're both on a 6-fight win streak, in the UFC at the time. Blanchfield does have the edge over Fior in terms of the finishes, because Fior has 2 KO TKOs. Those were her first 2 fights in the organization, and then Blanchfield has 3 submission wins. So she has 3-2 in terms of finishes. So it's very similar. And then you look again at as Aiden mentioned at their most notable wins. Fior obviously beating a former champion in Rose Namajunas, and then Blanchfield being Talia Santos, a former title challenger most recently. So, I mean, it makes it very close. I mean, that it's really neck and neck. If I had to give it one way, I'm probably going to give it to Blanchfield just because of the way she's looked. But I feel like after Blanchfield, I feel like Fior would be next.
Absolutely.
I don't think either woman would have to compete unless it's against each other. I don't think either one has to compete again for a title shot. But I just saw this debate and, they were going back and forth. Blanchfield thought she deserved it after her win, a month back. And then Fiora obviously a couple weeks ago was thought that she deserved it after beating Doug Rose, but both have, you know, subtle notches on their resume. But 6 wins is 6 wins, and I don't think 7 is really warranted in this case. I think that hopefully the fight with Grasso and Shevchenko has the division moving on. But if Shevchenko wins and it's close and there's a story to make a third trilogy fight,
I don't think they'd make it.
I don't think so. I don't think so personally. I think the winner probably moves on. But if that is the case, then maybe those two women fight each other. But outside of that specific circumstance, I probably think that I think Blanchfield Fiora, I think in that order. And I don't think that either woman should be denied at this point.
No, I agree.
But moving on, second question here. Was Sean Strickland's upset the biggest in UFC history? I've heard some people talk about it. And in my opinion, it was tremendous, obviously, but I don't think it was the biggest.
No, I don't either. I don't either. At the time, like I'm trying to think back a little bit. I think Weidman and Silva is probably a bigger upset, and he beat him twice.
Absolutely.
But that and
the first one.
Yeah, of course. And then obviously, you know, Long Island native when Matt Serra knocked out GSP in the first round.
That's number one for me, man. I mean, I don't know how you could.
No, Matt GSP is the greatest, one of the greatest fighters of all time. He sits at 2 or 3 in most people's lists. Some people put him at 1. I don't agree. But either way, top 3 of all time. A lot of people have him at. Yeah, I don't think Adesany's top 3 of all time. So yeah, I'd probably put that fight maybe at 3, honestly, 3 or 4 if you want to add in the Holm and Ronda Rousey as well. Because at the time, no, Holly Holm was undefeated. And I think she had multiple defenses at 35. Yeah. But again, it's a little different as far as competition was back then till now. So I'd probably sit that at number 3.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that that it's, you know, I don't even know if it's really in the top 3 in terms of upsets of all time. I think Sarah GSP is 1 just because I think the betting odds like minus 1,300.
No,
for Sarah. I'm almost positive, and and it's very similar for Holly Holm as well. I know that one. But just crazy odds. But not even just the Vegas, not even just what Vegas thinks. So the Vegas, you know, obviously, most of the time is right.
Oh shit, right.
But yeah, crazy,
Holy
ridiculous
cow.
odds. And you know, a fight that if they fought 100 times, I think GSP wins 99. You know, if you talk about Izzy Strickland, I think if they fight, you know, 100 times, Izzy maybe wins 70, you know, ish. So I don't think that's a crazy, you know, I don't think that that's number 1. I think that, you know, recency bias is very huge because obviously we're talking UFC 69. You know, how old were you when UFC 69 you know, was aired? Because I was probably a little child.
And I'm like, what, 9 months younger than you?
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah, so it's like, you know, we were both little kids. So I think that's very clear. And then Weidman Silva, I think, is also up there. And then Holm Rousey as well, as Rousey a minus 1,400 favorite.
She was that big of a favorite.
Yeah, so I think that's Strickland. I think that slides in at the 4 slot. Obviously, some people talk Diaz McGregor. I don't think that's think that's as crazy of an upset.
Well, McGregor's going up 2 weight classes to fight.
Yeah, and I think it was a short notice fight as well. And I think that Diaz obviously is a guy who's, you know, a difficult matchup. Think of the current champion Leon Edwards. If that fight had more time in the 5th round and Diaz, you know, kind of put his pedal to the metal after real significantly hurting Leon Edwards, we would be talking about a whole different welterweight division. Because there's no way that Leon is sniffing a title shot if he doesn't you know, end up surviving that fight against Nate Diaz after he got rocked. So it's a guy, Nate Diaz, who's always been a difficult fight and difficult out despite the fact he's never been a champion. So I don't think that that's there either. So I think it slides right in at the number 4 spot in terms of all time UFC upsets. But obviously, you know, we're talking about, you know, hundreds and thousands of fights that you're going through. So it's definitely up there. I get it, but number 1, no. Top 3, maybe. Top 5, absolutely. So I think that settles that. Well, next, let's go into Champ or Chump. And I got 3 names there. I'm gonna let you decide
I like the names.
Who you want to go. We're not gonna go through all 3 today, obviously. We'll go through 1. So who do you want to? You can start.
You know who I'm gonna say.
All right, all right. We'll go into it. So Champ or Chump time here on the pod, and we're gonna go Champ or Chump. There's been a lot of talk about a trilogy of Sean Strickland, now the champion, Sugar Sean being the champion, and the third man on that list, Colby Covington, being a champion. That would be the trifecta of I don't know what is the trifecta of just white guys.
I think that the white guys taking over 3 fights.
I think it's just the white guys, but the trifecta of white guys.
Any other white champions?
Yeah,
I think about it. No, right? Oh no, Jamal Hill, but he just relinquished his belt.
Yeah,
and John Jones.
Yeah, John Jones. But I mean,
But
it's
funny.
a funny thing. So but let's go into it now. Champ or chump,
now,
Colby Covington.
I'm gonna be as unbiased as possible. If he gets his fight, and I'm gonna be unbiased, I'm gonna say, fuck, man, this is tough. But if I had to put, all right,
you want me to go first?
Go first,
all
please.
Right. Champ, chump, Colby Covington. I say no. I don't. I think he's a chump. No. With all due respect. And here's my thing with Colby Covington, man. I mean, Covington's obviously had, I think people like to give him, a lot of hate just because of the inactivity. And you look at his career and the wins, and they haven't really aged very well, especially since a lot of these guys are now out of the organization. When you keep looking back at his wins and his career, because this most recent win was against Jorge Masvidal, and this is over a year ago.
It wasn't just a win, it was 50-44 domination.
No, I understand, but Jorge Masvidal, I think was at that point in his career wasn't really a guy who was considered. I mean, I think maybe just because the BMF belt kind of that gives him that hype and just that flying knee knockout. He's a guy who's very popular. I don't think when you look actually at his skills and at that point of his career that he was really going to be challenging for a title anytime soon. So I don't think that win would be deserving technically of a title shot, but
it's not deserving, and
it seems like he's gonna get it. So now we're talking about the matchup with Leon Edwards, and I just think when you look at Colby Covington, man, I think Leon Edwards proved against Kamaru Usman that the takedown defense is there, and I think that's really Colby's only path to victory. I think Leon is levels above him in terms of striking, and Colby Covington doesn't have much power in his hands. He really doesn't.
But he has durability like no other.
I agree. But Leon showed that he went through a 5 round.
And there was different. I think when Leon fought Usman the second time, that's a different fighter than when Usman fought Covington. Listen,
I agree.
Usman and Covington, one is regarded as one of the best fights of all. And I'm not just saying that. Like, you can look up on YouTube, you can go to a whole bunch of sources. It's regarded in the top 10 as greatest fights of all time. That fight was competitive, tooth and nail, and Mark Arnold had to shit the bed and ruin it. Even if Covington lost that fight, at least let it go to a decision. Usman was in a sprawled position on a takedown shot right after he got knocked down, and after a few hammer fists, he stopped it. There was 50 seconds left. Covington wanted to go out in the shield. I think that would have been much better, but I'm not going to get into that. Now, as far as matchups go, Leon showed his improved takedown defense in that second fight, even though I still think Usman landed like 3 or something takedowns. I don't know. He still had success, but not nearly as much as he had the first time they fought. The thing with Covington, man, is I think he has more heart than Leon Edwards personally. Yeah, I know he knocked out Kamaru and he didn't give up, whatever. But in both fights with Usman, he never gave up. And he fought adversity early on in that second fight. He got knocked down twice in the second round. People thought it was about to be clipped. It was about to be over in that third round. But that third and fourth round, he started making movement. Obviously, he won that fourth round. And it's where the other two judges, one had him winning the third round as well. One had him winning the fifth round as well. So if you look at it, technically he could have won 3, 4, and 5. I'm not going to be a bias. I think he still lost that fight, probably 3 rounds to 2. I probably would have given the fifth round to him as well, 4 and 5, 1 to 3 for Usman. But stylistically, man, if Covington works on it, he's never going to have as much power as Usman had. He's just not as strong as a guy as Usman was. But that's the only shot I'm going to get now. Champ or chump? Fuck it. I'm going to say champ. And I know I'm going to get shit off. I have to.
Do it.
I have to. Because Usman, I'm sorry. Leon is the only way I see him becoming champ. If he loses a fight against Usman, or fuck, what I keep saying, loses the fight against Edwards,
yeah.
Huh?
No, you continue.
If he loses the fight against Edwards, then there's no way he'll get a 4th title. He can win 3 fights, in my opinion. He's not deserving. I mean, he's not even deserving at this point. But just because you look at the next contender, Bilal, and we talk about Bilal like once every other week, but as much as I'm going to say to him, is he's just so boring. He couldn't. I don't know. He couldn't attract bees to honey. Like, he's that boring.
Yo, that's facts.
You know what I'm saying? That's some spit right there. But for real, like he brings no attraction to himself. That's why, Covington. A lot of people hate him so much that they want to see him lose, but they'll still tune in to fight him. Nobody cares if Bilal wins or lose. Like, and you know what's so sad is he had that 5-round co-main against Gilbert Burns, which you have a 5-round co-main event with no title on the line. Like that, you would usually see number one's contender implications maybe in that fight, but he won that fight and he's still not getting the title shot. It's so funny. I think if Gilbert won that fight, he probably would have. I don't know.
Leapfrogged, yeah.
He might have leapfrogged. There was a better chance he would have leapfrogged Covington than Bilal, but the only way I see Covington winning, becoming champion is through Edwards. Other than that, though, maybe if he cuts down to 55 afterwards, and I'm really just being optimistic and being extremely hypothetical at this point. I don't see that being happen. I don't see that happening. If he honestly loses to Edwards, he probably won't fight till the end of 24, and at that point he'll be 36 years old. Like he's getting older and older, man. He hasn't fought in 19 months. He doesn't deserve the title shot. I'll say that. I'll keep reiterating that. So I don't want people to say, whatever. But I think he has a decent chance of beating Edwards, honestly. If he beats Edwards, the segment's over. He's the champ.
Yeah, and I agree with the fact that this is his one shot, and that's why I think I favor Edwards in the fight. So that's why I don't think that he's gonna be a future champion. I think that his only path to victory is gonna be this next shot if he gets it. And it feels like it's a matter of when rather than if. The two guys just have to sign the dotted line at this point.
Yeah, current odds
made it very clear.
Current odds would be Edwards minus 135, Covington plus 150.
Yeah, so those are close odds. But I mean, I'm not gonna bet on a guy who's been very inactive. I'd rather see a guy in Leon Edwards who's looked fantastic. And I think Edwards could even find a finish against Covington because Edwards' striking has really looked good. If Leon Edwards comes out how he looked last fight, I don't think there's a version of Colby Covington that could beat him personally. But that's my take on it. And I respect the champ the champ opinion, but I can't see a reality where Kobe is able to get the job done against Leon unless we see a much significant worse version of Leon. But again, crazier things have happened this past weekend. So that's that. And next, let's go into everyone's favorite segment.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, real quick. I just saw it's possible to move to UFC 296.
296 for Leon Colby.
Yeah, dude. Oh, because
listen, they need a headline for 296 because I don't see Conor returning. So yeah, so
I think they'll fight.
I like that. Rounds. I like 290. 296 would honestly be perfect. I think that's like a perfect. Wow, look at that. So breaking news in the pod, not related to MMA at all, but Aaron Rodgers did tear his Achilles last night, so he's done for the year.
Done for the year.
Done for the year. Done for the year. Jets fans, if you're out there watching,
Zach Wilson, let's see what he can't do this year. He looked mild, to be generously, yesterday.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Jets fans.
That was on the first or second play too.
It was this fourth play from scrimmage.
Fourth play from scrimmage. Oh, he went 0 for 1, and then
yeah.
You know how much money he's slated to make next year though? $104 million. He was only making $1 or $2 million this year. Next year he deferred.
They backloaded the contract. Yeah, that's crazy.
Dude, that is so sad. He's gonna be 40. He'll be turning 41 by that time.
Trying to recover from an Achilles injury, which was the toughest to recover from in terms of sports injuries
in the NFL. I feel like
who didn't?
Huh?
Yeah, who didn't? There's a lot of guys. You go through a slew of them.
Oh, J.K. Dobbins is out for the year too. Yeah, real quick. I know this isn't a football podcast.
Yeah,
the guy was out for a year, like 2 years ago.
He has the worst luck ever. I feel in terms of NFL.
Is Cooper Kupp hurt again?
Cooper Kupp's hamstring. He's on the IR.
He's on the IR.
He's on the IR. Yeah.
Bob, what's going on, Bob?
Yeah, Bob. Yeah, NFL is just the injury bug is coming to bite people early on in the season. Bob, I haven't heard from you in a while, Bob. How you doing? Yeah, Bob, I think Bob also thinks Kobe's a chump, though. I think, to be honest.
No, he doesn't.
He told me all the pop.
I spoke to him earlier. He said he's actually gonna get a submission win over Lee. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. That'd be fun. The world would explode, I think.
I know.
If that really the three white champions come true, that'd be nuts. But then now with the break aside. That sucks.
You just got the notification.
That's why it was 2 minutes ago. I had to say, I was like, no way.
Fans are livid right now.
Oh, dude, if you're a Jets fan, man, like when does the pain ever end? I'm a Broncos fan. We're Broncos fans, And obviously this weekend sucked. You know, it's the same old Broncos.
Russell looked better, I guess.
We scored 17 points, bro. I mean, 16
against Jimmy.
But it's the same team, man. And I don't want to talk too much.
Yeah, they'll go what 8-9 this year, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
I had no excitement watching that game. No. I have NFL Red Zone, bro. The Chargers and Dolphins game was what I was focused on. I could care
literally. It's tough.
I'm a piece of shit Broncos fan.
Tough season. Tough times out here for us as football fans. But not tough times for MMA fans because they fight every weekend and there's a whole lot more of guys to root for than just one team. So our pitting aside, let's get into a little bit of Guess Who MMA edition. And I'm gonna be honest, give me a good 30 seconds to pick my guy because I've given it zero thought until right now. And
fuck yeah.
So let's go with
I almost looked to get
for whatever reason. I don't know why it's so difficult this week. Usually I get a guy just comes like this. But let's go with somebody. All right. Wait. All right. I'm gonna up the difficulty a little bit for you. Yeah. I know these last 2 weeks, obviously you guys haven't seen both of them because one of them I decided to not press this button and that would not then there's no audio. So that was the forgotten episode 12. But the long lost. But we are both 2-2 now. Or no, 3-2, right? Are we 3-2 now? I think. 2-2. Oh, 2-2. Okay, so we got. No, I thought we got 2 back. Did we not? No, we're 3-2. We're 3-2 because we started off 1-0. We had 2 straight where it was a disaster class, and then we came back and got 2 straight because it was the episode 12 that never happened, where it was it Strickland or you had Strickland and I had
Paul Craig.
No. Paul Craig was the other one.
That was my guess.
It was the Geoff Neal. It was Geoff Neal, Strickland, and then I got Paul Craig, and you got.
No, I had Strickland last time.
Oh no, you had Strickland last time. So you had Pantoja at the time before.
Yes,
it was Pantoja, Geoff Neal, which puts it 2-2, and then 3-2 for Strickland. And Paul Craig, 3 guesses, three questions. I don't think I'll ever come close to that again. But I'm gonna take it while I have it. So I got my guy. If you want to guess,
I'm trying to think
if you have anybody.
All right, you know what? You want to? All right, you know what? I got somebody. You probably get this pretty easily.
All right, cool. So let's do it. You want to guess first? You want me to guess first?
You can guess first.
All right, cool. So let's get into some guesses.
Like 3 guesses.
Who? I came with 3 guesses last time. That's not happening this time. But let's get going. Does this fighter fight? Oh, let me wait before I start. All right. Now I only have this up. So let's get into some Guess Who here, folks. It is my time to shine. I got 3 guesses last time. Will I do it again? Absolutely. Let's get into it. First question. Does this fighter fight at or below 185?
No,
not at or below 185. Okay. At or below 185. So he's a bigger boy. Does this fighter fight at? Just shoot our shot. Does he fight at light heavyweight?
Yeah.
Wow, we're doing it. That was great. Does this fighter already upset? It's 2 questions in. It's like our division. I'm gonna assume he's ranked. Is this fighter ranked in the top 10 of the light heavyweight division?
No.
Okay. So maybe he's not ranked, or he's 11 through 15, which would make my life pretty easy.
I'm gonna kill
Has this fighter fought in the last 6 months?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Has this fighter headlined a card?
No.
In the last 6 months? No. Okay.
So we're 5 down? 5 or 6?
Yeah, I think we're 5 down.
5. All right.
Okay. I think the 11 through 15 of light heavyweight.
You're gonna get it, but I'm gonna walk out.
I'm kind of blanking here on these guys. The bottom of light heavyweight because they're a bunch of bums. Bums.
It's actually bad point. That was pretty fun.
I'm just stalling. So Phone Last That's not a headline. Has this fighter ever challenged for the belt?
No.
No. Okay. So I think I have 4 more questions.
You have 4.
Um,
And you have a guess, so you have to have a guess with the
yeah. Is
I
this?
hope you fuck up.
Oh,
I'm rooting
man.
downfall.
Dude, I'm trying to think of these.
You got 4 more.
These bottom.
You got the division in 2 guesses, bro.
I know. This is gonna be a big. I'm gonna go from the best, the peak to the absolute bottom of the barrel.
You'll get it. I think you'll get
it. Is this fighter? I guess I'll narrow down time range. Have they fought in the last 2 months?
Yeah.
Last 2.
I have to double check for
in the last 2 months.
So you got 2 guesses in the collection.
Wait, I might have a guess.
Sorry. Yeah.
Is this fighter Clear Roundtree? Let's go, baby. We got it. Shout out Clear Roundtree with this big ass. Yo, he's jacked.
He's actually not that bad though. He's won like 4 in a row.
Yo, Clear Roundtree.
He fights like somebody's like ready to kidnap his children.
Oh yeah, dude. I love Clear Roundtree.
I made it too fucking easy, bro.
Nah, that was a good one.
You just started.
I started off hot. Getting light.
You started off hot, and then you started drawing blanks.
Yeah. Nah, I that was good. That was good. All right. So I improved to 4-2. Now it's Aiden's time to shine. Just
I gotta start giving you unranked people.
Yeah, well,
nah, because I don't know if my knowledge is that extensive.
Listen, we're gradually getting more and more difficult.
You next week, actually.
All right, perfect. I'm looking forward to it.
You're not getting there.
All right, so I got my guy. Whenever you're ready. So it is Aiden's time.
I'm gonna get to the division until like question 9. No. All right. Does this fighter fight at or below 155?
Yes.
Does this fighter fight at 145?
Wait, hold on. Am I tweaking? Wait, what'd you say? What was the last question? You said
the second question?
Yeah, second question.
Does he fight at 145?
No.
Stop. You said
no.
no.
You're good. Yeah, you can leave it up. You can leave it up. I see your computer. I trust you. Right. You're good.
Thank you. You said no?
No, not at 145.
Does this fighter fight at 125?
No.
Okay. So what am I at?
So your only 2 possibilities are 35 and 55. All
right, does he fight at 50?
Yes.
All right. So now I have a horrible way of getting to the division, but once you get to the division, I'm cool. So that was 4 questions?
Yeah, 4 questions.
All right, it's 5 and guess. Easy money. Is this fighter ranked in the top 10?
No.
Is he ranked 11 through 15?
Yes.
Okay, I can make that work.
Okay. So you got that was
6. I have 4 more. Right?
Yes, yeah.
I'm trying to think right now. I know who a few of them are.
You could hypothetically start name dropping, but there's a
no, because I know
a possibility that you do.
Flow. I'm trying to think right now. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, I know everybody except 11.
Okay, let's see it.
That's fucked. No, it's not.
So narrow it down.
Of course, bro. I know this isn't me guessing, but I'm just blurring. Oh, I can't. I don't want a time limit. Did this fighter win his last fight?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's a very good question, actually. It's a very good question.
Right, so that helps. So I know it's not Jalen Turner, because he's at 12. Oh. Has this fighter? Wait, how many guesses do I have? You have
3.
I have 3 guesses.
Well, 3 including the
including okay,
yeah, including the guess.
Is this fighter wait, so he's 11 through 15. Is this fighter Diego Ferreira?
No.
It's not. So I have 2 guesses.
You have 2 more guesses.
Is the fighter? Bro, I'm gonna bug the fuck out because I know it's I guarantee it's number 11, but I'm okay, hold on. 9 is Hooker, 10 is Dawson. Who the fuck is 11? Is No, it's not RDA. 12. Is this fighter Renato Moicano?
Who?
No.
No. Uh-oh.
It's my last guess too, right?
We got one guess left, folks. And we have potentially
plastic. I'm becoming like
ideally funny enough, actually, there's out of all of your questions, there's really only one guy I could do.
I know. That's the fucking problem. All right. 15th Ferreira. Oh, Matt Favola.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Oh my god, bro.
All right.
And I was gonna guess
Gorgeous.
a minute ago too.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Whatever. I got it.
Gorgeous. All right.
You know what? I'm still impressed. I knew the rankings. Who's number 11? Is it?
Yeah.
It is already.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was funny because you're looking that way, talking. Because I do the same thing when I'm thinking. I look up. I'm talking to myself. So you were doing the exact same thing, and I'm looking at the camera, and I'm like,
well, actually, let me see. I think I know the entire.
And then he's like this. It's like, why was that 11?
I know, but I was looking, but I'm like, bro. Wait, let me see if I can cite the ranking.
No, because it was RDA 11, and then you had Turner, Moncayo, Favola, and Ferreira. So you had the guesses. You had the top 15. It was a good thing that it was Roundtree, because no way was I had no idea that Azamat Muskarov undefeated. I had no idea that he was a top 15 lightweight. And then we already did Dom Reyes, so I knew it wasn't him.
Yeah, and once you said he fought for the top.
And then Dustin Jacoby was probably the only other guy that was a guess, because did Menifee win his last fight?
Yeah, he did.
He did. Oh, I guess okay. So there's 3 guys there. I guess I got lucky with Roundtree, because I wouldn't.
I took a blank off the bowler for a second. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
The steamroller, baby. The steamroller.
Is he gonna fight, bro? Like, come on. I need him to mop Paddy Pimblett. I hate Paddy Pimblett.
Oh my, Paddy Pimblett's
so annoying. I don't even know how he has like a big like fan base, dude.
It's just the English.
They just sound like a bunch of assholes, bro. Like,
nah, right? Nah, you're right. You're so right. But we're gonna do this.
I'm happy I didn't fumble that though. Yeah, I was getting nervous.
Oh, dude, I was getting nervous for you, bro. Because if I was feeling bad for Bob here. If
I was starting to eat my water, but I was becoming Neanderthalic.
I thought Aiden was about to take all his anger out on Bob if he would have lost it. I was like, Bob off camera was about to get absolutely abused. But thankfully this week he survives the abuse. So we're gonna go into we'll do that the next MMA rankings next week. Let's preview next week's card. The first time in a very, very long time. I can't remember off the top of my head what was the last time a title fight was on a fight night. But this is a really exciting fight card. I mean, you're talking about, Kevin Holland and JDM on the co-main.
And somehow JDM switched to the favorite. I don't know how.
I don't know how. That's actually probably been my pick.
JDM?
No. Of what's his name? Freaking Kevin Holland.
You got your favorite Holland, right?
I like Holland a lot in that fight, because there's such a.
I think he's actually gonna finish him.
Yeah, there's a big discrepancy, and he's JDM's only 5'9", and
no, that's bullshit. He's not 5'9".
No,
how tall does it say Kevin Holland is? He's actually 6'3". What does it say?
It says 6'2". Is this not true? Is Google lying?
I think JDM. I think Dylan Madeline is actually 6 feet.
Really?
No bull crap. I mean, I know they like to, say crap. Like, I know they like to say one thing and it's not true, but you look up his height.
Let me see. Let's see. Oh, okay, 5'11".
5'11". All right.
That's 5'11" on ESPN Sure Dog. Okay, so actual credible sources. Google, fuck you. But but again, there's still a pretty significant difference. And I don't want to take the last performance. I take the last performance with a grain of salt, because there was so much that surrounded JDM's supposed to fight Sean Brady. Then he was supposed to fight Josiah Harrell, and then that whole medical thing happened, so he ended up fighting a guy in Basil Hafizez who fought well. All things
one judge thought he won,
but no, I don't think he won. That's crazy. The strike differential is ridiculous when you compare 3 takedowns to 1 is the only advantage in his favor. But I mean, it was a closer fight than most expected. And I like Kevin Holland in that matchup. Absolutely. I think Kevin Holland is kind of turning a corner. Yes. And he's so dangerous with, his grappling. It's really underrated, I feel, as well. And obviously he's a lengthy striker, who has the ability to finish people and knock people out, but he also has a lot of crafty submissions that we've seen him. Obviously the Darce against Chiesa was fantastic, and he loves staying active. So
He does.
that's why we love Kevin Holland here on the MMA. On the no, you're good. You're good. You're good. Yeah, no, it definitely was. But but it was but I think he's really gonna be a guy that may flourish into a true welterweight contender, and I think he does it pretty easily and handily against JDM this weekend. But another fight you gotta mention, the youngest fighter in UFC history, and Rosas Jr. making his return after his loss against a guy in Terrence Mitchell. Rosas still 18 years old, which
Turns
is
19 soon.
absolutely crazy.
I know, it's nuts
to be competing, in mixed martial arts against a 33-year-old in Terrence Mitchell, who's coming off a KO loss.
Child abuse.
KO loss back in July. This is a fight I did not get the chance to watch, but against Cameron Saman in the first round.
Oh, that's Drake's teammate.
Oh, is
From
it
South Africa? That name.
okay? Yeah, so that was who Terrence Mitchell got knocked out by. So obviously, they're giving Rosas someone who's not relatively too difficult. Probably somebody who's not much of a grappler either, I'd imagine.
It's actually a second fight in the UFC.
Yeah. So it's so a guy with not much experience, but 14-3 record. Tossed to itself, and he's a pretty big underdog. So not my official pick yet, but I might look at Mitchell in terms of maybe sprinkling a little something there. But then you got the main event of the evening, Grasso versus Shevchenko. I mean, a fight that before the first time, Valenchenko, a big favorite, and
very big favorite.
And she came out, and Grasso came out and really dominated the fight. I mean, it was close.
Dominated the fight.
It was close.
She won the first round.
It was closer than I.
And then I think
it was closer.
Shevchenko probably went 2 or 3 just because she took her down. And
yeah, I forgot about the takedown. I just remember round 1. I forgot 2 and 3 with the takedown.
We like to have short memories, fight fans.
Yeah, for real. Back in March too, man. That was not that long ago. Yeah, not that long ago. But I mean, Grasso. Oh wait, that was the fight we watched. We watched right here before the pod was a thing. Before it was even, we were just watching fights. Two guys watching fights, and we're like, what if we put some mics on and talked about it? And now here we are.
Yeah.
But yes, okay. Now it's starting to come back to me because I'm remembering being in the space for watching it. And yeah, because that was coming into it because you like Grasso. Just a little bit. Shevchenko. I like Shevchenko also, but she'd beat my ass. I think that's kind of the part that's
You think so? You think she'd beat your ass?
She'd beat my ass. Shevchenko, she'd beat your ass too.
Fuck no, she wouldn't.
Yes, she like that's
bullshit.
crazy. That's
Bro,
crazy. All right. I'm putting this on the pod. Would Valentina Shevchenko beat Aiden Williams?
I would put everything on it with fucking beat.
No way. So you think you'd be an electric?
Bro, I'm a 19-year-old kid or man with testosterone running through my veins. There's no way,
dude. She's nasty,
touching
bro.
Me, bro.
She's
like 35. What's she gonna? She can't take me down. I will. One of these fucking cannons is gonna land on that. I sound so messed up right now. You got me talking about female women right now. No. Jesus Christ.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yo, we might have to cut that now. But
it's all jokes.
You actually think Shevchenko will beat you up?
Yo, it's close. Shevchenko beat me up? Absolutely.
Yo, you're
absolutely.
Where is the self-confidence?
Absolutely. No, I think Shevchenko.
I think the only female fighter,
bro. Because I think
Nunez. Nah,
dude. You don't think Nunez beat you?
Bro, I'm talking like a full, and I'm not just like Bradley Martin. I'm 170, brother. But like I'm being like realistic. I'm 19. She's 35. Like she's not.
I'm 170, brother.
There's no. I have to finish her quick, bro. I'll be honest. Bro. I'm expensive, but my gas tank isn't up to par.
Nunez prime.
Nunez prime.
I mean, even Nunez now beat my ass.
Okay,
and I think
Nunez will give me.
I think Shevchenko, Grasso, maybe I can do a little something.
Oh, I'm gonna get called so many.
But nah, it's yeah.
I really think Shevchenko will beat you up? That's crazy.
Listen. I'm not gonna lie. I think she does.
All right, man. To each his own.
Listen, I think you underestimate these women, bro. I think if she hits me with one of those nasty head kicks, bro, I'm going to sleep.
Bro, I don't think you.
And
I don't think you're properly like giving yourself credit for how much, and we're not going to get into a whole thing on this, but like how much like how much more physically superior we are to these women. And like
I mean, I guess listen, I understand that.
And we're younger. If I was 35, maybe I don't know. I'm gonna be slower at 35 than I am now. But bro, but here's the thing: these women are just they're training every day, right? I train
3 to 4 times a week when I can. In terms of MMA, I weightlift 4 to 5 times a week. But besides that, that's besides the point. And I'm also very relatively new to MMA training. A couple months in. I don't think I don't think Shevchenko is.
What do you mean by decision? If I had to go 25 minutes, I'd probably at some point just let her take me down and let her lay on me. No. But I'm telling you, I think I can.
Nah, bro, because even when I'm going against guys in the gym, we're sparring, not going 100%. Sometimes my hands are a little slow to check these head kicks, bro.
But you also said you're relative, and I'm still new. I started training kickboxing in like February, and that's why people are like, yo, what is this kid talking about? I started six months ago.
Dude, listen,
if it was like Brandon Moreno, or dude, he would tap me out or whatever, he would kill me in like 2 minutes. I'm not doubting that.
I think Grasso or Shevchenko beats my ass personally.
Right. Hey man, you're entitled to your own opinion.
Listen, let's have that question up on a poll later this week.
These guys have never seen me fight, bros, and they haven't seen you fight, but they've seen them.
Listen, they have to listen. They have to just go on what they can see. Yeah. And that's it. I'm gonna put one of the pictures you posted on Instagram on one side, Shevchenko on the other, and be like, Q&A question. would Aiden beat Shevchenko in a fight? But back to the fight that's actually happening between the two women.
Yeah, not me. I'm not fighting anybody.
Although we might have to do a sparring match between Shevchenko and Aiden in the future when this podcast inevitably blows up. That would imagine we able to get that done. One day we get you two sparring. That'd be crazy.
I'm not gonna lie. There's no holds barred. I am going to do everything in my power to beat the shit out of him. I don't care.
Clip it.
You can clip it. I don't care. Hey, if this is a sanction. We're in a training environment. There's no hard feelings attached. Yeah, I might get like arrested.
We're just trying to get better. We're just trying to get better.
No, exactly. And look, who wouldn't be better? Both training with the world champion, one of the best female fighters.
I know there are men and women that cross. I think I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know.
Henry Cejudo was training with Mackenzie, but he's just trying to get a feel, bro. Henry's just a little devious dog.
Henry's a little dog. But to the main event now. Yes. We'll move on. Although I could do this all day. This is fucking hysterical. But Shevchenko Grasso, I mean, in the rematch, man, it's tough. I mean, I don't really know who I lean here because, obviously Shevchenko has looked so dominant for so long. You go back to her UFC career started in 2015. Her title reign started 2019, if I'm remembering correctly.
Shevchenko's?
Or even earlier than that. No, I think it was 2018. When she beat no, wait, hold up. No.
She had 7 defenses.
17. Wow, we're going all the way back here. I don't know, she beat was that Holly Holm fight for the title back in
I don't think Holly Holm was at 25.
2016 at bantamweight. Oh no. No, I think it was see, I'm really not sure. Shevchenko Penny. No, she didn't beat Penny for the belt. It might have been 2018 when she beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk. That might have been the one.
Yeah, I think that was her first fight.
I think that was her title.
1, 2, 3.
So I mean, it's been a while for Shevchenko being the champion. She's obviously been dominant in her reign. Was really untouched outside of the Amanda Nunes fight for since 2018, and then Grasso, did what was many people thought the impossible and was able to get the sub in round 4 last time they fought. And in this fight, man, I don't know. I mean, I lean Shevchenko just because I feel like.
You do?
If she's able to, and you saw the takedown success in the first fight. So if she's able to, mix the striking, because obviously I think that Shevchenko really has the advantage on the feet. I feel still at this point in her career.
It's possible.
So it's close. It's very close. But I would leave Shevchenko. I'd lean and new. But I mean, if Grasso does it again, I would not be surprised. This fight, in my opinion, is as close to a pick 'em as it gets.
Yeah, I think Shevchenko's still favored, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Grasso, man. I think she's gonna make the changes to the wrestling that she didn't have come March, and I think and obviously Valentina's obviously gonna be training her jiu-jitsu and just not to give up that. I don't want to say rookie mistake, but because that was a beautiful move by Grasso when you look back at it, like the way she got behind her back, put her in the rear naked choke, it was great. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man. I think this is a new era for flyweights. I'm going with Grasso personally, and then maybe she'll fight Blanchfield or that's irrelevant. But as far as this weekend, man, I'm personally rooting for Grasso, and I'm taking Grasso.
Yeah. So
I take Grasso by a finish again, actually.
Wow. I see. I would lean Shevchenko decision.
So
if
I'm
I had
going
to
on
do the
complete
time,
opposite
but
to
I listen. I like it though. I think either. I think both. I think what we have, our two guests are probably the more likely scenarios. Because has Grasso gotten finished in her UFC career? I don't think so. No.
before that.
No. Have she ever got? No. Has Grasso ever gotten finished? I know
Oh,
Shevchenko had.
Grasso.
But so I mean I feel like the Bullets' best bet would be a 5-round war. But I mean, listen, anything can happen as we saw last weekend.
Oh yeah,
So,
she got submitted to Tatiana Suarez.
oh wow, okay.
5 years
Suarez,
ago.
man, Suarez can be a beast.
I know.
I'm looking forward to her
She
getting
could be a
her
two division champ.
Yeah, I'm looking
opinion.
forward to her inevitable title shot in the near future.
Yeah.
But with that, that's gonna do it for the MMA on the Island pod. A very interesting episode. I really love this, one of my
Yeah,
favorites.
you brought out.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite episodes. I feel recording personally. Had a lot of fun on the pod. It's really good to be back. I was hoping to film last week. Things happened, couldn't get it done, but we were able to do it this week, and I couldn't be happier. So episode 13 in the books. I hope you fight fans enjoyed. Enjoy your free title fight this weekend. Who knows when you're gonna get that again? Because Dana Krabs, baby, money.
Dana Krabs, I like that.
I can't take credit for that because that's actually a MMA page is called Dana Krabs.
Oh, is it
Best name for MMA page? No. I had to give the credit.
Remember those pay-per-views were like $40?
Yeah,
and now they're $86. I get notification, $86.91 to be exact.
I cry every time I click purchase.
I don't.
Part of me dies inside. But what are you gonna do? All right, folks. Till next week. This has been MMA on the Island. My name's Joe Frescott. That's Dana Williams. Hope you guys enjoyed. Enjoy the free title fight, and we'll break that down and look forward to the next fight night. What's the next fight night, dude? Any idea what that is?
Oh, Gamrot Fiziev.
Gamrot Fiziev. That's a good fight. That's a good fight. We'll break that down next week, folks. You don't want to miss it.
See you.
Enjoy the fights. See you next week.